Welcome back to the ARCA Zoomcast. Yeah, we're exciting. Casey Campbell here. Of course, that's Mitchell Breuer from who knows where.
The
Some
universe.
Yeah, that's true too. Of course, the regular person that you would see on the left side is currently busy in Florida right now with doing some World Series of Asphalt coverage for Flow Racing. Of course, that's ARCA PR director Charlie Crawl. But we're back. It is race one of the ARCA season, and we just had some big news that just got announced just a few minutes ago. I mean, Sean Hingrani is going to be competing in both East and West, both running for both championships, and I believe that's the first since Todd Gillen did it, and back in 2017, and it will be the first time in the ARCA under the ARCA umbrella that Venturini will be going after all three championships.
Which is pretty neat to see. And I mean, there's been a lot of question marks with the ARCA Menard Series West Series this year. And bringing a staple of a team like that brings a lot more legitimacy to that series. And all of a sudden, it's just like, okay, we might have our favorite for a bunch of races coming up because it's a dynamic duo that's going to be definitely one to watch, not even just in the West, but in all three of ARCA's series as well.
I think the East is going to be really, really solid this year. And obviously, we'll talk more about that once that season gets going. I believe we might even see some more entries from what I've been heard. More details on that soon. So talking about this weekend, of course, Daytona, they'll be there for the 60th time this year. How exciting is it? Because this is, I think, unless those Toyotas get linked together, this is going to be one of the biggest races we've seen in a while.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a full field for the ARCA Menard series, which is not the most common thing in the world for this series. And, oftentimes we joke about these full fields and about how some of them can't just keep up the pace with like the Benarinis and the Gibbs and all that. But there is a lot of good cars in this race that have either A, proven that they can go out and compete, or B, are in equipment that can go out and compete. So I don't think this is just going to be a walkaway win for Venerini and the Gibbs posse. I think this is going to actually be a fairly competitive race. And, this one's actually, Casey, we can look at all these races and say, oh, this guy's going to be a favorite. This guy's going to be a favorite. I think this one's a lot harder to predict just because, like, there are a lot of guys and gals that can go out and win this race.
I believe there's going to be at least five females in the race so far. I'll have to get the official total on that one. But yeah, it's going to be lots of good cars are going to be in the field. The four Venturini cars obviously are going to be the favorites. And of course, you got the 18 as well with Connor Mozak. And of course, Jesse Love's running for the full season. And of course, you got Amber Balkan there. Of course, she ran for Rhett Jones full time. And of course, you have Gustine, who's going to be with Venturini for a few races, and then of course Tony Breidinger, who's going to be with the team for a majority of the season, and not the full season like last year, but she'll be in there. And then we got a bunch of other guys. We got obviously Greg Van Elst. We have Christian Rose, who'll be with AM Racing. They're back full time, of course, known as the Wintron team from back in the day. Tony Constantino started a team, and he's got some good equipment. And then some guy named Frankie Muniz. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, just in passing.
Yeah. How do we? Let's address the elephant in the room. How do you think Muniz is going to do this year?
It's interesting. I think that he's with a very good team, and obviously we don't know the full extent of like manufacturer support and all that he's going to be getting from Ford. But I mean, that's a team that last year was a solid top 10, top 5 team, which I think is what Frankie needs to be focusing on this season. I don't think we can go in there and say, oh, he's going to be a contender to win races. Not saying that that's not possible, but I just think we need to temper the expectations to those top 5s, top 10s, and then see where we go from there. And I think a top 5 for Frankie is a win this season. That being said, I think I think like if he keeps his nose clean, and I know like that 30 car, like we've talked about before, Casey, that 30 car just had the worst luck last season of
Yeah,
anybody in the ARCA Menard series. I think if they can just keep their nose clean, they're gonna be in pretty good shape throughout the entire season. And who knows, maybe they can figure it out to a point where they can get into the winner's circle at some point this season.
for sure. And there's a lot of guys that could possibly. And I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of change and a lot of teams, going there. Of course, we won't see GMS this year. We won't see Tricon Garage this year. We won't see Nice. We won't see Brett Holmes. But a lot of teams are going to have really kind of risen from the ashes. And there's some good cars out there.
There's some very
Another
good
name I
cars.
keep hearing, Greg Van Elst. I know he's kind of fighting for sponsorship right now, and a lot of people can say he can go and maybe get it done at Daytona.
1000%. We saw him back in throughout his entire career show up and be able to be right up there with the best of the best in the series. And he's not going to be a slouch this season either. There's a lot less predictability when it comes to these races this year. And I know we have the big old elephant in Joe Gibbs Racing this season,
Right.
that will probably go out and win a couple of races, but I don't think it's just going to be that 18 car dominating all season long. I think it's going to be a pretty competitive field throughout the entire year.
And I mean, look what we saw last year. It was, yes, the 18 car did win a lot of races, but the 18 car is going to win a lot of races. I think William Sawalich is going to be is going to be tough to beat, and will obviously you're looking at that, of course, from the great state of Minnesota, just like yourself, Mitchell. But yes. But honestly, I think that you got the Venturini cars, who obviously will be in all three series, and then of course you got Rev Racing as well with Andres Perez de Lara will be in that car, and of course Rev's got two cars this weekend as well, and of course Nick Sanchez won at Talladega last year, so they could be contenders, and of course Jack Wood's going to be in there too.
Absolutely. And I think the guy that we're forgetting to mention, but the obvious favorite for the title this year, Jesse Love, that dude,
Yeah.
He's getting better every single year. And I think we've seen him click off an ARCA win here and an ARCA win there. I think this could be a year where he could break out and win quite a few ARCA Menard Series races this year.
Sure.
Not saying that it's going to be super easy for him, but just looking at the trend of him and how he just continues to get better and better and better, this is going to be a dude that he might be adding another ARCA championship to his hand by the end of the year.
Yeah. Also, guess what? All 20 ARCA Menard Series races will be on the either FS1 or FS2. I don't know if you know how big that is.
That's huge. That's huge. That's so cool for ARCA, and it's so like I was looking at it the other day. I subscribe to YouTube TV. I get both FS1 and FS2 with one of like their lowest cost packages. That's insane. Whereas like last year, and I know I'm not the only. I know there's plenty of race fans across the country that were probably paying a little extra to get MAV TV. No offense to them, but having that FS2 and FS1, I think that's a reason you're seeing a lot more competition in the ARCA Menard series this year. And I think that's a great thing. I think that's awesome for these guys.
That I think, and I know we're seeing kind of the benefits of the ending the Sioux Chief Showdown a little bit too, because now you're seeing a lot of teams that you wouldn't expect to see in the East Series and even in the West Series. It's like it also just frees up enough of the purse money. And like I said, we could see some more teams. I'm aware of it. Obviously, I believe the Pinnacle Racing team will have an announcement to make very soon. But yeah, we're definitely gonna be seeing some more guys kind of coming into both the East and the West. So
absolutely,
still work in progress, still a lot to do, but it's heading in the right direction.
And you talk about good TV deals.
Yeah,
I think having the West and the East full time on the Flow Racing platform, that's a pretty big deal as well too. I mean, I know there's some folks out there that are very skeptical of the whole streaming platforms, but I think there's something going on Flow Racing every single night. Even during the month of December, it seemed like there was races going on Flow Racing, and I know our good friend Charlie Crawl, he happens to do a great job on that streaming platform all the time. But I don't think you can underestimate the amount of people that are on Flow Racing these days that are consuming content. So to throw the West and the East and have them sort of be a staple part of everything that goes on Flow Racing, I think that's a big deal for those guys as well as too.
All right. Well, Mitchell, thank you so much for coming on and previewing this race, and we'll be back in a few weeks to talk about Phoenix in a few weeks, and also that's the start for our friends in the West Series.
Sounds like a plan, Casey.